Hi, folks. This video is about the passage John 12:24 and what it means for Dostoevsky's novel. We've already talked about how this passage comes up in the fates of so many characters, but in this video, I want to claim that it means one thing more, because it's also the epigraph to Dostoevsky's novel, and it goes right along with this dedication to his wife Anna. So how has this passage come up already? Well, we've seen it in those central moments when we get the conception of salvation transferred from Brother Marco to Zosima and to Alyosha after Zosima. The passage continually comes up there to characterize the individual's experience, one of these mystical experiences with nature and with reality, and with this kind of spiritual awakening and lovingness to all of humanity and accepting of one's base and need for forgiveness, and also the ability to connect with other humans and this relationship that Zosima has through his memories to his brother, and Alyosha then has to Zosima. In fact, Zosima, we even have characters in the novel presenting this quote to others, the way in which Dostoevsky presents it to us or presents it to his wife. So we have Zosima on his deathbed, quoting it to Alyosha, giving him direction in his life. Or he does the exact same thing to the mysterious visitor. So in my opinion, it's quite obvious that this is the central theme or characterizes Dostoevsky's central philosophical and existential insight. And that is the idea that there's a relationship between admitting falling, admitting our sinful nature and our need for salvation, to our ability to actually experience resurrection or to come to loving communal relationships with others. Now, there is a traditional reading of this passage in Christianity, which just because this is one of the sayings of Jesus in the Gospel of John, that it is taken to foreshadow the crucifixion and the way in which Jesus dies on the cross in order to save all of humanity. But I actually think that's not what Dostoevsky is really getting at. And we completely miss Dostoevsky's unique version of Christianity if we just interpreted it in that traditional way. So what I've been saying all along is that this experience, this is what characters experience on Earth. I mean, remember, through the central climactic moment of the novel, Alyosha literally falls, throws himself down onto the ground, and then rises again. So we have resurrection and paradise on the actual earth. That is Dostoevsky's mission. And the fruits that we bring forth, this is not Jesus, the innocent one, the sinless one, saving all of humanity. This is sinful humans saving each other through creating communal relationships, through creating meaning in their lives. And so what could it mean then for Dostoevsky to quote this passage to his wife, or to, in a sense, dedicate that through this summary of the book to his wife? Well, I think clearly what he's saying is that it is that relationship. He is, she is his Grushenka to his Dmitri. That is what he is saying with this passage, that it is literally how he has been saved through a kind of relationship to her. So in fact, what I think we need to do in the novel, we need to add one more of these loving commitments, one of these relationships through which characters are redeemed. Dostoevsky, this is such a fascinatingly personal novel in which Dostoevsky, in a sense, is telling us how he found meaning in his life. And it was through this relationship to Anna. So the entire novel, in a sense, works out a kind of philosophical position for the appreciation of us, the audience. And it's not just about the fictional characters, but there's one more element. It's about Dostoevsky himself and his relationship to Anna. Now, if you think I'm making too much of one simple epigraph, let me just point a few things out. Because metaphorically speaking, it's people talk about the authors as creating their fictional worlds. Really, I think it's not too much to say. In some way, the author really is the father of the characters in the novel. And so that's why I think it's no coincidence that the father, the patriarch in the novel, is named Fyodor. Fyodor Dostoevsky is quite acknowledging his relationship to Fyodor Karamazov. And in many ways, I've said the Karamazov sons, they all have this dimensionality reflections. They're all various versions of their father in different existential forms, in different states of despair that they then have to work throughout the course of the novel. Well, I think in the exact same way, all of these Karamazov characters are different dimensions or reflections of Dostoevsky. And I think he is quite happily acknowledging this to us. If you think I'm making way too much of it, then you just need to read a little bit about Dostoevsky's life. And you have to remember that, and you need to read his corpus too, because so many of his other novels, I mean, The Idiot especially, but Crime and Punishment, Notes from Underground, they're dealing with these exact same themes as the Brothers Karamazov, but this is the final consummation of his work in which he puts everything into it. It is this immensely full novel of all of his best insights from all of his other works that he completed right near the end of his life before he died. And so it's not surprising that he would have this deeply self-reflective novel now that he has come to a certain position and understanding and reconciliation with his own life. So his mother died when he was young, just like all of the Karamazov children. He even had a brother named Mikhail. That's the name of the mysterious visitor that goes and visits Zosima. But of course, I think directly his brother Mikhail makes us think of Zosima and Zosima's brother. Like Fyodor, he had multiple wives and he had multiple children with his wives. And of course, his youngest son was named Alexei. Like how, I can't even make this up, but there's so many connections to the story and Dostoevsky's life. You know, remember Smerdyakov is epileptic and is faking the epileptic fit that was central to the episode that was central to the function of the plot. Well, Dostoevsky himself had epilepsy, and that figured large in his life. Dmitri ends up in prison. Dostoevsky ended up in prison. I didn't even put this on here, but Dostoevsky went to military academy and was in the military just like Dmitri. And Dmitri is constantly talking about how he's destined for Siberia in the second half of the novel. That is precisely where Dostoevsky got sent and faced execution before his life got spared. But even more to the point, so I think all of these parallels are interesting, but you might be thinking this is a bit like a conspiracy theorist, like if I have this theory and so I can find evidence for it everywhere. So maybe you're not won over by all of these parallels, and that's fine. You don't have to buy the idea that the novel is literally supposed to be this deeply, explicit depiction of that Dostoevsky is working through. But there is a part of this that I think is beyond dispute. So Dostoevsky, it's well known, he had an incredibly difficult life. He had periods of debt and he was very poor. He lost all of his money. He went through serious bouts of addiction, alcoholism and gambling addictions. So there is no doubt he was in despair. He experienced a very tough life, and somebody who wrote so many novels about human despair, clearly he is writing about his experience of the human condition. And understanding understanding somebody who so clearly depicts the fact that humans have two sides, the angel and the insect, that they are trying to get into reconciliation. So this is, he experienced that lack of reconciliation, just like Dmitri and Grushenka and the characters in there. Or to put it in the way in which his characters do, he clearly needed to heal his soul too. And when he is then quoting the passage, John 12:24, at least I think there is no doubt that he is quoting this passage to his wife in the exact same way in which the characters in the novel quoted to others, that this is his expression. He is saying, this summarizes it all. This novel is my expression of how I came to that kind of reconciliation, how I came to heal my soul. And given that the message, if you understand how John 12:24 functions in the novel, it is through those relationships to other humans, then there's no mistaking, at least, that him dedicating this to his wife through John 12:24 is at least saying that he came to heal his soul through that relationship with her. Okay, thanks.